Oops, crooked. Oh, I was sitting crooked, that's why. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the books I would like to read in the month of June. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over the books that I have started in May and that are trickling over to June. I've gotten a lot easier on myself. I'm a very analytical and calculated person. I think that's just a nice way to say anal. I'm a very anal reader. So generally I don't like to have rollover books unless it's planned for a specific reason, but trying to ease up. In my old age, I turned the ripe old age of 28 this month, and in that new wisdom came that it really doesn't matter that I don't finish a book in the month that it started. I'm telling you kids, you never stop learning. So the first book I started in the month of May was Persuasion by Jane Austen. I'm 70 pages in, loving it. I have read all of Jane Austen's works before, so of course this is a reread, but with summer comes Austen with me every single year, and this year is no different, and I'm really enjoying this. I just read Emma in the month of April, I think. Having just read Emma in the month of April, or May, I can't remember which it is now, I had a really great time and then picked up Persuasion right away. And I also just adore these vintage classic editions of the Austen collection. Next, I started Norwegian Wood by Murakami. I'm enjoying this thus far. I just started it last night and only read about 20 pages, but his style is one that I'm familiar with and really, really enjoy, and this one seems to be no different. Okay, these are the two big ones. So in the month of May, I also started War and Peace by Tolstoy. It is a chunky one. I am 50 pages in, but you really wouldn't know it from how big this guy is. I am really enjoying it thus far. Very, very slow, and I'm taking it and appreciating it for how it was written and the purpose in which it was written. So it's just going to be slow going. I don't plan to finish this one for a couple of months. It's something that I'm pretty diligently picking through, but at the same time, I have no plans to rush through it at all. I'm just keeping this as something that I'm reading pretty frequently in my mornings before work. And the moment we've all been waiting for, and by we I mean I, Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. I finally started it this month. I finished my reread of the Stormlight Archive, and currently I am sitting at chapter 14, page 194, and I'm loving this book. I plan to finish this a lot faster. I just had a couple of really, really busy weeks at work right after my birthday. There was some long weekends, there were some managers moving that I had to cover for, so just didn't have a lot of time towards the end of the month, but I was able to squeeze in just under 200 pages, which I'm really happy with. This one, even though it looks enormous, is actually only 1,200 pages, but where we are right now, we're kind of just like reintroducing where everyone's at, what everyone's been doing, and I'm loving it. I missed these characters, and I'm so happy that there's just another installment that I get to journey with. Next, in the month of June, I'm just going to revisit a video that's already published in this channel, and that is I'm reading the shortlist for women's fiction. This is going to be a TBR that trickles between June and July, as that's when the winner will be announced, is in the month of July. These are the two editions that I have on my shelf. The others I purchased on my e-reader, but I did want these two to live on my shelves as they sounded like two stories that I would want to pass around after the fact. All right, so everything else that's going to be on this TBR are going to be books that I set aside, that I'm interested in reading, that I would like to prioritize as my next reads this month. But that being said, I like to have a large selection in case I fancy myself in the mood for something that wasn't originally on the TBR, or something that I didn't necessarily think I would get in the mood for. I don't know if that makes sense, but let's keep going. So by Jennifer Saint, I picked up Ariadne. I don't think that's how you pronounce it, but it is another sort of Greek myth retelling, maybe? I think it's Greek. I don't really know. I think it's Greek mythology. But regardless of the fact, I had a whirlwind of a journey trying to find this book for a customer in my store. It was lost at the time, wound up ordering it, but she got it on an e-reader and was talking about it so much that it really intrigued me. So when the copy did finally crop up at work, I picked it up. It's going to be a wild ride. I've been in this space of really, really loving mythology retellings. It started with Circe last year, led into Song of Achilles, then led into The Witch's Heart, and now here we are with this one, and I'm hoping it does not disappoint. Next, I have Keepers of the Lost City, Book 8, Legacy. Book 8 is Legacy. I have kept this kicking around on my shelf because I didn't want to read it too early before Book 9 could come out. But that being said, it's summer, I'm in the mood for really cute middle grade, and I have a lot of heavier books that I'm going to be reading, or a lot of bigger books at least. And even though this one comes in at just short of 800 pages, the font is huge. There's not a lot on a page. A lot of it's dialogue, so these are super easy to get through. I can usually get through one in about a weekend. A little bit less than a weekend if I am committing myself to reading, and as it is summer, I like to take a blanket and just go to the park and spend an entire day there. So this is definitely one I will throw in my bag. Next, I have Earthlings by Murata. I'm so excited for this one. I read Convenience Store Woman by the same author, loved it. It was weird. I'm on a weird kick. I just want to read books that I have a hard time describing the plot of, or the point of. If I can describe the plot but not the point, I'm all about that too. So I'm really excited for this one. I think I talked about this in a book haul, but I believe this is about a young woman who doesn't have a lot of friends and just marches to a different beat, and she has a stuffed hedgehog that she talks to that begins to talk back, and then we revisit her when she's an adult, and her hedgehog tells her she has to save the world, or that he's an alien. I don't know, but I'm so dang excited about this book. Can't even tell ya. Next on the list, I have Act Your Age, Eve Brown. This is the final book in the Brown Sisters trilogy by Talia Hibbert. I'm excited for this one. I'm less excited just because Chloe was definitely my favorite sister, followed by Danny, and we leave off with their youngest sister, Eve. So I'm less excited for this one, but I'm sure Talia Hibbert will pull through because I have loved all of them thus far, and I'm not like the biggest romance reader, but I've really loved these books. So this is the perfect month, June/July, when the weather is hot and you're just reading in a park. This just looks like the perfect book to pick up. Next, I have book 2 in the Wheel of Time series, The Great Hunt. I need to read this. It's been on my TBR on and off for like 3 months now, 4 months, but I just am having a hard time picking it up. I think I spoke ad nauseum, honestly, when I read the first book about, I was just worried sometimes when you read older works that at the time they weren't tropey, they actually started these tropes that we are so well versed in now within a genre. But when you go back and read something like earlier YA or earlier teen novels, they feel like a problem I had with Shadow and Bone was it was so tropey. But at the time, I can also recognize that Leigh Bardugo was participating in creating a lot of these tropes that now seem overwrought and overused. I'm worried that that's what I'm going to find as I continue with the Wheel of Time. But I also am acknowledging that I only read book 1 and I need to give this series a good go, regardless of the fact I am going to finish this series. But that's my hesitation that I've had in picking it up. But I need to have more faith that it has a huge fan base, it has a cult following, that many people hopefully can't be wrong, and I need to give this an honest to goodness try. I need to at least start this in June. That needs to be my promise to myself, and I feel confident that I can do that. And lastly, I have The Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. I just finished reading King of Scars and had this ready and waiting on my shelf, so I'm excited to get this one going. I'm in a Leigh Bardugo kick, but if she releases another book that is not the second to the Ninth House series, I'm just going to maybe quit the fandom, because as excited I am for the Rule of Wolves, I really, really, really want book 2 in Ninth House. So that being said, I'm going to read this, and probably this year you're gonna see me reread Ninth House. But for now, I'll stick to Rule of Wolves. I'm really excited to give it a go. Where I ended with King of Scars just left me breathless, so I cannot wait to pick this up. But I've made a promise to myself to get through a couple of more series, try to finish Rhythm of War before I pick up another fantasy. So this will be later in the month, but I'm equally as excited to give it a go. So that is it for what I will be reading in the month of June. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. How am I going to do a thumbnail of this? Oh, that'll have to do. Oh my God, that is heavy.